So, with the Western release of Lost Ark only being a couple days away, a friend of mine recently asked me, "Hey Haiku, what class do you think I should play?" Well, my initial response was the stereotypical just play whatever you enjoy. However, being someone who considers themselves pretty socially adept, I was able to pick up on a few microaggressions he attempted to hide in his response. Wanting to be a good friend, I decided to make a more thoughtful response describing the average player of each class in order to give him a better understanding on which he would most identify with, and also so that he doesn't change the password to his mom's Netflix account, as I still haven't finished Season 2 of The Witcher yet. So without further ado, my Lost Ark Class Guide for Dummies. Now, when you first start Lost Ark, you're going to have to make an irreversible pick between 5 categories of classes, which is the warrior, martial artist, gunner, mage, and assassin, with each category having a various number of subclasses to choose from, totaling to the amount of 15 classes. Now, if you're like me and you also didn't receive your PhD from MIT and are feeling a little overwhelmed at this point, that's not a problem, as I'm going to be taking you through each part step by step, not unlike guiding a blind horse to water or teaching an adult who has been out of school for a decade Common Core math. The first class we're going to cover is the Berserker. While the Berserker might be the squishiest of the 3 warrior classes, he makes up for his lack of tankiness by dealing a lot of damage with his greatsword and having a rotation that's able to be played by a chimpanzee. This is a solid class pick if you're from Florida, you like to drive around in your lifted pickup truck and still swear that it was just because the water was cold that one time you went skinny dipping with your friends in July. The second class is the Gun Lancer, which is the tankiest class in the game. Now, typically you would think that being a tankier class, you wouldn't do a lot of damage. Well, that might be true in the first tier of content. However, with the thanks of a few recent patch updates and a hefty dose of anabolic steroids, the Gun Lancer manages to pull off some big numbers and seemingly able to do everything in the game, except dash forward. The third and final warrior class is the Paladin. Now, this is my absolute favorite class in the game, and the one I'm going to be maining on NA release. It is considered a support role, as he grants his teammates buffs, shields, and provides healing. However, there's also a second playstyle for you Giga Chads out there in which you forgo all of the previously mentioned party buffs and just spec straight damage. While the second build may only have the ability to provide D or C tier damage in a raid environment, it possesses something else, which is an S tier ability in turning Lost Ark into a single player game because you'll quickly find yourself kicked from every group. This brings us to the first martial artist class, which is the Striker. He's your typical monk-like fighter class that has lightning fast punches and kicks and great mobility. This class is a great choice if you want to play a male avatar and your favorite Naruto character is Sakura. Next up is the War Dancer. The War Dancer wears lightweight gauntlets, sacrificing some power in favor of high mobility and speed. She charges up elemental energy with her attacks, and then releases powerful moves on her enemy before starting the process over again. If edging was a class in a video game, the War Dancer would definitely be it. Then we have the Scrapper, which is another martial artist class, and is very similar to the War Dancer with the exception that she uses heavyweight gauntlets, and instead of building up energy, she kind of balances between 2 different types of energy that feed off of each other, allowing her to do a large amount of damage to her enemies, but sacrificing some ability. If you're thinking about starting your roleplay career as V, this is going to be a great option for you. Now, the last martial artist class is the Soul Fist, which is one of the more interesting fighters in my opinion. She combines physical and magical attacks. There are 2 big reasons that you would want to play this class. So Gunslinger and Deadeye are 2 similar physical range classes that have a pretty cool playstyle, which have you swapping between 3 separate weapons, each with a different set of 8 skills. These 2 are definitely the most challenging classes, and I feel like there are 2 types of people that play them. Those who snore G Fuel off their Secret Labs gaming chairs and play DDR for 12 hours straight, and those who are 35 and like to tell you about how great of an athlete they were in high school. Next, there's the Artillerist, who uses a giant oversized gun that deals insane damage. People who identify with the Berserk class but want to play a ranged instead of melee would be happy with this choice. The last ranged class is the Sharpshooter, which is probably the least played class in the game, and to be honest, I almost didn't add it to the list as I completely forgot it even existed. Then we have our first mage class, which is the Bard. She uses spells to provide shields, healing, and buffs like the Paladin, except for more powerful. However, she lacks in the DBS department, as her attacks hit like a wet noodle. She's a great choice if you own a body pillow and like to listen to hentai on Audible. Next, we have the Sorceress, which is one of the newest classes. She's a master of all 4 elements, however, when the world needed her most, she vanished. All jokes aside, she's the standard mage class and definitely going to be one of the most popular on launch. The last 2 classes are the Assassins, with the first one being our resident edgelord, the Shadow Hunter. She's a half demon, half human, and spends her time building up her demonic gauge, which allows her to temporarily transform into her demon self, which increases her speed and damage for a short duration. This is going to be a great option if you like fedoras and think that the musical artist that best describes you is Billie Eilish. Lastly, we have the Deathblade, who's slightly less edgy sister to the Shadow Hunter, who focuses primarily on a strong and fast quick attacks with multiple blades. If you're someone who likes using melee weapons, I would first ask you 2 questions. Do you like using swords? How many swords do you want? If your answer to both of those was yes, then the Deathblade is going to be a perfect choice for you. So there you have it, my Lost Ark Class Guide for Dummies. If you made it this far and enjoyed the content, please feel free to hit the like button and also consider subscribing, as it truly does help out a lot. Also, what class are you planning on playing and leveling up to 51st? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, peace.